it's Anna and welcome back to my channel. I make faith-related videos on all sorts of different topics, so you guys should totally subscribe so you don't miss any of those videos. But today I'm going to be talking about how to have a good relationship with your parents. So I will 100% be the first one to confess that I have not always had a perfect relationship with my parents, and it's not even perfect right now. You know, around the ages of 13, 14, 15, there are definitely some rough patches where I had arguments and screamed at my parents, and you know, they kind of yelled back at me, and it wasn't always perfect, and it's still not perfect. However, as a 17-year-old, I do feel like my parents are one of the people that I talk to the most, which unfortunately is really uncommon for teenagers today. My relationship with my parents is one of the things in my life that I value the most. My parents are actually, they're obviously still my authority, but they're one of the people that I just have like the most fun with sometimes. I pretty much tell my parents everything and we sit down and talk to each other a lot, and that is really unusual, and I've recognized that. And neither me or my parents are perfect at all. I'm not trying to pretend like we are at all perfect, but I do realize that your relationship with your parents can be either the biggest problem, one of the biggest problems, or one of the biggest blessings in your life. And I feel like it has been one of the biggest blessings in my life for me, and I just want to talk about how I just kind of got to that point. So I just want to give you guys a few tips on how to keep things positive, and yeah. Quick disclaimer, I do want to say that I'm super blessed to grow up in a Christian home. Both my parents are Christians, and they always, you know, instilled in me like good Christian values and just taught me about God and took me to church and everything like that. And so I realize I've been extremely blessed. I've never had parents that have told me to do something wrong, or that I've felt like I couldn't obey because I was going against the Bible, anything like that. That has never been a situation in my life. So if you are in one of those situations, I feel so much for you, and I just want to say that I don't know how to navigate that as much because I've never had experience with it. But also, I do want to say on the other side of things, just because my parents are Christians doesn't mean it's always been super easy for me to obey them either. Doesn't mean it's just been like they're perfect and I'm like, no, it's never been easy. And I don't think even if you have great parents that it is easy to obey them. It's still hard to navigate that relationship sometimes. So I'm just going to be giving you guys 5 tips today to keep your relationship with your parents positive. Number 1, piece of advice is to realize that you do not have to 100% agree with your parents' rules to respect and to honor and obey that rule. There are definitely things that I disagree with my parents. Obviously, you're not going to 100% agree on everything. However, you do not have to agree with their rules to obey them. As I became a teen, I think I just really quickly realized that it wasn't my job as a child to convince my parents that something was morally right or morally wrong. Just if they had a rule out there, I just had to obey it. And in my head, I could decide for myself, obviously, that was morally right or wrong based on the Bible, but that didn't mean that I could, you know, just stop submitting to my parents' higher standard while I lived with them. That's not okay. You still have to submit to them. And I think one of the things that helped me do that was to realize I don't have to agree with every decision they make for me, but I do have to understand that God put these parents in my life for a reason. And so even though they may not always be perfect, He knew what type of parents I would have, and He put me with them. And so He decided what kind of parents I needed with what kind of rules they would have for me. It's just learning to submit most of the time. And maybe, you know, it's not that God doesn't want you to do that certain thing, it's that God wants you just to learn to submit and to say, hey, I'm going to honor my parents' higher standard in this area just because they're my parents, and I need to learn to submit. And submission is something that you have to learn all throughout your life. Like, you know, once you stop living with your parents, you're gonna have to work at a job, and you're most likely gonna have a boss, or whatever area of life you're in, you're gonna have to learn submission. So please, right now, begin to have a good attitude with your parents. It is gonna be so worth it in the long run. Yes, you know, it may be hard for you to miss out on something because your parents said you couldn't go, or whatever the situation may be. So next time you feel like you can't do something that you really want to do because your parents say no, then ask yourself, is this thing worth ruining my relationship with my parents, like over this? And a lot of times that question has helped me put things back into perspective, and I've just told myself, you know what, this, I just gotta have to pick my battles, and this isn't one of the ones that I need to really worry about that much. I just need to submit myself under this rule and live with it for a couple of years. Number 2 is show gratefulness. This one is so important because your parents probably do a lot for you, and probably a lot that you don't notice. because I mean, why would they constantly do stuff for someone who is completely, like, never appreciates what they do? I mean, I wouldn't constantly sacrifice for a person who didn't seem like they cared, didn't seem like they even noticed. I mean, just saying, if your parents are out there doing nice stuff for you, putting out effort, you know, to provide for you or give you a ride somewhere, and you're never thankful for it, then chances are they're just probably going to stop doing it eventually, or they're not going to like doing it for you. But if you are thankful, then a lot of times it's the opposite effect. They want to be even more nice to you. They want to help you out even more. And that's with everyone. That's just how you should treat everyone. So it's easy to feel like you do a lot around the house, but when you put your focus on being thankful, then you start noticing, oh wow, I do a lot of things around the house, but this person does even more things around the house. Family is a lot of sacrifice and giving, and you should expect to give, and you should also be grateful when people give to you. Number 3 is actually help around the house. They may not ask you to, or they may only ask you to do certain things, but go above and beyond what they ask you to. Once you realize how much your parents do for you, you should probably want to do more for them. I grew up in a home where it was expected that I work around the house and help around the house. So I'm actually kind of shocked whenever I hear about teens like doing nothing and their parents doing everything for them. Like, go out and learn how to cook a meal, how to do your laundry, how to clean. Like, those are all very important life skills, and not just for girls, like for guys too, 100%. You need to learn how to do this kind of stuff, and you know, learning how to work around the house and, you know, doing chores and stuff is actually like beneficial twofold, because it helps you learn how to be an adult, and it also helps you maintain a good relationship with your parents because they probably want you to help around the house a little bit. Number 4 is, if you feel like you really need to have a conversation with your parents about something, then pray about it first and then approach them respectfully. So whether you feel like they should allow you to do something, or you feel like you should need to share with them about how you feel about something, or whether they are about to make a decision that you feel like you deserve to have a say in, ask God to help you to be calm and to not raise your voice, to not turn the conversation into an argument, but into something very positive. Go to your parents at a good time. Do not go on a day where they are stressed or they're already busy with something. Maybe go to them beforehand and ask, hey, when is a good time that I can talk to you about something serious? And maybe then you can pick a time with them, or just approach them whenever they're already not busy. A lot of times teenagers, I've done this before, we just fly off the handle and we don't think about what we're gonna say before. We end up screaming, demanding about what we want when they've already had a hard day and they're already in a bad mood, and then we're screaming at them. And guys, just saying, you're probably not gonna get whatever it is that you want. That's a very bad approach. Probably not gonna work. If you approach it that way and you just fly off the handle and scream at them and like totally disrespect them, then the answer to whatever you want is probably gonna be no. If you feel like you need to confront your parents, then sit down and talk with them, even if you don't get what you want from that conversation, because most of the time, like, they're not just gonna say, yeah, you can go do that now that you've talked to me about it. At the very least, they will see how mature you are. They will understand that you want to respect them, and that's something that's really important in building a relationship with them as well, even if you don't get specifically what you wanted from that conversation. Number 5, never, ever, 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 ever compare your parents to other people's parents. You probably hate being compared to anyone else. So why would you compare your parents to someone else's parents? Because the thing is, adults hate being told that they should change their decision because someone else made a different decision. Like, that's not how it works. Unless your parent specifically asks you, what does this parent think about this? Then you should not tell them what Jenny's mom said, you know? When we compare our parents to other people's parents, it's often a very unfair comparison, because fact is, Jenny's mom may throw her the best birthday parties, buy her cute clothes, but she also doesn't let her stay on her phone past 9 p.m. I'd actually hate having to follow that rule, you know? So parents have different rules for their kids, and that's okay. A certain parent may be more lenient in this area, and another parent may not be more lenient in this area, and your parents don't have to be completely like someone else's parents, and don't compare them, because you don't know that entire family situation there. Know that God gave you your parents for a reason, and even if you are sure that they have the harshest rules, and you are 100% sure that everyone around you is allowed to do everything and you're not, maybe that's something God wants to use in your life to grow you. So that was all the tips I had for you guys today. I hope those were very helpful, and if you like these sort of videos, you should totally subscribe, because I post content like this every week. I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Hey everyone, it's Anna, and welcome back to my... Okay, let's try that intro again. I'm just gonna be giving you guys 5 tips today. That was 10.